yet?
Not yet. I've talked to a few agents, but haven't decided on anyone yet.
Okay, it's not listed yet. Fantastic. And how much are you asking for it?
$300,000.
$300,000. Terrific. And how much do you owe on it?
About $400,000.
About $400,000. All right. And how far behind are the payments?
I'm about 3 months behind right now.
About 3 months behind. No problem. Okay. And why are you selling?
Oh, I've lost my job, had to get a new job, and I'm not making as much money. I can't really afford the house anymore.
Decline in income. Okay, terrific. Well, let me tell you a little bit about what we do, Eric. Not only do we buy a lot of homes, we're currently the #1 real estate team in the Northwest. In fact, we sold more homes last year than #2 and #3 combined. If I could show you how we could sell your home in 30 days or buy it at no cost to you, would you be willing to have us come by and take a look at the house?
Absolutely.
You would. Fantastic. Are you the only person on title, Eric?
It's my wife. My wife and I are on title. Yeah.
You and your wife. Good. Okay. Well, we need to make sure everyone who's on title will be there when we arrive. What would work better for you, Tuesday or Thursday at 5?
More like Saturday. We get home late during the week.
Okay. Saturday at, say, 10 a.m.?
That'll work. 10 a.m.
10 a.m. Perfect. We'll see you on Saturday at 10 a.m. Have a great day, Eric.
That's very simple, Mike.
Hey, I'll tell you, and you know what? It's funny. Everybody wants to tweak it and put their little spin on it. But you know what? I'll tell you, if they follow that script verbatim and just do it the same way every single time, you can verbally vomit on them, and they'll still set the appointment. And you just have to follow the script.
Sure.
I use the script when I leave a message too, Eric. I'll tell you, if I'm leaving a message, it's this. So here's my script. Hi, this is Michael calling you about the house for sale on 123 Primrose Lane. Please call me back at 206-300, whatever. And again, that's 253-444-5554. And so I'll literally, that's it. That's all I tell them. I just tell them I'm calling about the house. I don't tell them, hey, I'm a real estate agent. I want to list your house, or I'm an investor. I want to buy your house. I say, look, I'm calling about the house. Give me a call back.
Well, what if those leads are out of my area, though? Then what?
Well, if one of those leads is out of your area, you refer it to somebody in that area and collect a referral fee.
Okay.
I mean, that's great. And I'll tell you something else. Sometimes the leads for these fee-for-lead services, those might be sold out in your area. Well, guess what? You can do the same thing with some of the other lead sources. Don't forget about bigmoneyleads.com as well. That's another good source. A little more expensive. And that one's not a guarantee. You don't pay per lead. You pay, it's more of a pay-per-click type of a thing. You say, all right, I'm going to set a budget of $2,000 a month, and I'm going to take as many pay-per-clicks as I can get for that. But, at the end of the day, Eric, there's no substitute for getting off your butt and getting on the phone. And you have to. You got to get off your butt to make a buck today. Call expireds. Call 50 of those every day for 5 days. Call 25 FSBOs a day. Call 25 past clients a day. Start farming a neighborhood and pick a high turnover, high dollar neighborhood. And man, I'm telling you, if you'll do these things, you'll be amazed. You'll start getting listings right away. And it's cumulative. The longer you do it and the more consistently you do it, the more leads you'll get and the more money you'll make. Now, and don't forget that my #1 source as far as cost per listing is radio. Don't forget about that. That's a great source.
So, Mike, getting the lead sources, and in fact, you have just tons of sources to get the leads. But it's not just about getting the lead. You've got to make the call, and then you've got to be effective in making the call so you can get the appointment.
Well, it's like we talked about earlier in the call. Too many agents think it's about getting more leads, and not enough agents realize, and loan officers as well, realize that it's not about getting more leads. It's about doing a better job with the leads I have. And one of the things I'm asked all the time is, how do I qualify my leads? Because 10 years ago, the philosophy was, I'm going to really heavily qualify my leads, and I'm only going to go on an appointment if I'm sure they're going to list the house with me. And there's still coaches today that teach that philosophy. And I got to tell you, that old school stuff just doesn't work anymore. It's a new world. We need to implement new strategies and following these principles that are 20 years old. I mean, my gosh, seriously, let's get with the times. So, one of the things you got to ask is, am I going to only go on the appointment if I know they're going to list with me, or will I go on the appointment if I believe they'll let me in the front door? And I got to tell you, for us at Club Wealth, we have a mantra. It's minimally qualify them. If they'll let me in, if they need to sell their house and they're going to let me in that front door, I'm going on that appointment. In fact, I've got a qualifying question that I ask on every appointment or on every call. It's, do you have to sell now, or can you wait 6 to 8 years for the market to recover? Now, if they say, I don't need to sell, I can hang on to it, no big deal, hey, that's not a motivated seller. I'm not going on that appointment.
Right.
But if they tell me, no, Michael, I need to sell. I need to get rid of this thing. Man, I don't care who you are. If you have a pulp and you need to sell, I'm coming over.
Wow. What a simple question to ask, and I wonder how many agents don't ask that. Very simple question. It's about timing. If the person is not really sure what they want to do, they're kind of thinking about it, they're not under any real pressure, then what's your response to that?
Well, if they're not under any pressure, here's another a secondary qualifying question that we can ask. If somebody tells me that the answer to my first question is, well, we don't really have to sell, then I'll say to them, okay, well, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being, they're going to have to drag me out of here feet first, or 10 being, I got to sell it now or I'm getting foreclosed on tomorrow, what would your motivation level be? And if they're not an 8, 9, or a 10, I'm not going to waste my time going on the appointment. But if they're an 8, 9, or a 10, and they will let me in that front door, you bet your bottom dollar I'm going to be in their living room at some point.
Right. So there is definitely a right way and a wrong way to qualify.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So these qualifying questions are it's really a person should perhaps have those written down, shouldn't they, just before they even start the call, to make sure that they're asking the right questions, perhaps even a checklist to follow before they begin the call, so they cover all their bases and make sure that they've qualified the lead. Do you have anything like that?
I do. In fact, I'll take it a step further. If you're on my team, you're memorizing these scripts. This isn't something you have written down. It's something you've memorized. And, you practice it every day. You know it like the back of your hand. It rolls off your tongue without thought or without effort. It's just you know what that script is all the time.
Wow. Well, that's great. So 2 ways to do it: heavily qualify and mentally qualify, to ensure that the people will let you in the front door. I think that is really just basic things that will save you a lot of time. And then the Club Wealth Way. Well, I mean, kind of expound a little bit more on that. The Club Wealth Way, and that is the Michael Hellison's way through minimum qualifying is what exactly? Say it one more time.
Basically, the question I ask them is, do you have to sell now, or can you wait 6 to 8 years for the market to recover? Okay. And what I want to do here is I want to put in their head that, look, it's not going to get better in the spring. I know you think it does, and all your buddies are telling you it's going to get better in the spring, but I got news for you. We're in this for the long haul. And so you need to ask yourself, how does my life look if I'm hanging on to my house 6 months or 8 months or even 6 or 8 years down the road?
I'm really glad we're recording this call, Mike, because that's just a great question to ask. And I think that a client wouldn't go too pressured or feel like you're trying to sell them and asking them that question. That's a question that really helps for them to explain their current situation. So with all these leads, how do you track the activity, and how do you make sure you're maximizing your lead generation dollars? Because it's a lot of money. I mean, the investment per lead on the website sources plus radio advertising, it can add up. I want to make sure I'm getting the most bang for my buck.
Yeah, you're right about that, Eric, and it is. It can be very expensive, and that's, particularly for somebody new, that's why they want to start with sources that don't cost money, like expired SISBOs, cold calls, farming neighborhoods, that sort of thing. But I'll tell you, we track everything. I mean, everything from how many hours did I work, how many days did I work, How many days was I dressed and ready for my work day by 7 in the morning? How many times did I attend my daily huddle with my team? How many prospecting nights did I attend? How many hours did I prospect? How many calls did I make? Follow-up calls, attempts prior to first contact? How many contacts did I make? I mean, this stuff is absolutely super, super important. And you've got to be asking yourself that on every single call. You got to be keeping track of this on every single call. Then I'm going to ask, how many times did I ask for referrals on that call? How many appointments did I set? How many appointments did I attend? How many referrals did I receive? And how much did I pay for each one of those leads? I can actually tell you in looking at my numbers how much it cost me per listing, how much it cost me per sale. And you need to know that so that you know where to put more marketing dollars and where to not spend marketing dollars.
So, Mike, what does it say about a person who doesn't track their business? Because it's a lot of tracking, and you're making it, you're really putting it in the context that this is really essential, right? I mean, you've got to do this. So a person who is not tracking anything they do, they kind of get up in the morning, get dressed, and kind of go through the day without necessarily a to-do list or a plan of action, but just kind of reacting through the day's events. What does that really say about that person?
Well, I say it says two things. It says, one, I don't take my business very seriously, and two, it says it affirms the phrase, a fool and his money are soon parted.
Wow.
And, I mean, there's just no two ways about it. You either take it seriously and track your numbers, or you're not going to be in business long term, or at the very least, you're going to underperform for your ability.
So, I mean, there's a direct correlation between tracking and a fool and his money.
Absolutely. I mean, I'll tell you, the best agents in the country and the best loan officers in the country know their numbers the best. They know how many contracts they wrote. They know how many apps they took. They know how many closings they had, how much commission dollars they made last month. And they should know how much did I donate to charity, how many hours did I donate to charity. I mean, seriously, Eric, you got to track everything.
Wow. I mean, I know there are some agents out there listening saying, well, that's really great in theory, Mike, but it's kind of messy in practice. In fact, you've heard that saying, the cleanliness of theory and the messiness of reality, and that is that people aren't really organized enough to be that organized. How do you gain that skill level? What tools are available to force a person, not necessarily force them, but to do a better job in just tracking all they do?
Well, I'll tell you, our clients and I use this in my team as well, we have something called the Club Wealth Success Scorecard. Mm-hmm. Right now, it's a manual system. It's actually, we're working on the electronic version of it right now. But it's a system for marking down each of these things and keeping track of it so that you can divide it out. You should know every time you pick up that phone what's it worth to you. Every time I dial the phone, it's worth $5, $10, $12 to me. I mean, if you knew that about your business, Eric, wouldn't you make more calls?
Oh, I would. It would motivate me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The nice thing about that success scorecard, too, is that in our electronic version, it will actually track not only how am I doing now, what am I doing on a daily basis, but you can plug your goals into it, and you can see how am I performing now versus what my goals are for the year. And how am I doing on my number of calls for the year, my number of commission dollars for the year, my number of appointments for the year, and where do I need to improve? Am I lacking in lead generation, or do I need more lead conversion? Or is it the lead follow-up I'm struggling with? Maybe I'm just not making enough lead follow-up calls. So it really analyzes your business and puts very quickly and in a very understandable format into perspective, what do I need to do to improve my business?
Well, that's really sounds like a great program. And how soon do you think the electronic version is going to be up?
We're about 30 days out now from having the electronic version up, and so the manual version is out now, and we've made that available to all of our coaching clients. And what will happen is in 30 days when the electronic version comes out, we're going to offer it, of